Hello everybody, this is Julia from Just One More Card, and today I want to show you a Copic coloring from start to finish with this gorgeous stamp from Gorjuss. And I'm going to be showing you how to do two types of folds. Now this is the actual image. It's called Red, Little Red, obviously because, the red cape. These are rubber stamps. You can see on the back of the packaging which stamps you get, and I'm only going to be using this girl today. These are the normal sized Gorjuss stamps, not the small ones. I'm going to be using my Misty to stamp it, and after I had lined up the image and had picked it up with the lid of the Misty, I realized that it was too high, and I remember that I can take out the foam mat in the Misty, and that is there as for clear stamps, and if you take it out you can use the Misty without any problems for rubber stamps. So I took this one out and just checked that everything was still lined up perfectly, which of course it was, and then I'm using my favorite things, hybrid ink, for stamping. The hybrid ink works perfectly with watercolor, Copics, color pencils, blending solution, what have you not. So this is my preferred ink for techniques. My favorite things licorice hybrid ink, not the dye ink, the hybrid ink. So I stamped my image. It's very detailed. And I'm going to talk you through some of the coloring, but not everything, because the video is quite long. So I'll be playing some music for you as well. I am starting off here with the skin tones. I always use the same skin tones, which are listed in the video description below or on my blog. And what I'm usually doing is I'm laying down the shadow areas first with one of my lighter markers, just so I have a feeling of how far I want to stretch the shadows. I sometimes feel that I go too far, so I just give myself some hints basically where the shadows go. I apologize if you may not see entirely how I do my strokes. I have changed my grip on my Copic markers. I've seen Elise from Kid and Clouder, which I can wholeheartedly recommend to you if you're interested in learning more about how to color skin, clothes, hair. Everything I know I have learned from her, so I can totally recommend her classes. Anyhow, I saw that she holds her markers differently from how I hold them. And so it's kind of hard to explain. Maybe you can see it from the video, maybe not. I apologize for that. So I'm holding my markers differently now, and I feel that in certain situations it gives me more control over my flicks. Not all the time, but sometimes it does give me more control over my flicks. So it's they don't go as far as they did previously, and I didn't want them to go as far. And I can sometimes even get finer flicks than I did before. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of resting the tip of the Copic marker on the right ring finger, like the last finger before the little finger, basically. In Germany, that's the finger where we have the ring. I know you guys in the US, you have it on the left hand, but if you look on your right hand, that's the finger where I rest my Copic on now. I used to rest it on my middle finger, but as I said, I found that I sometimes have trouble controlling it, so now I'm resting it on my right ring finger and steady it with the middle finger, the index finger, and then my thumb. It might not work for you, like whatever works best for you. If you find you have trouble, try holding your Copic marker differently, or your pencils. I don't do it for pencils, I only do it for Copic markers. I found it helps me, but maybe it helps you as well. I don't know. Just experiment. It's not the cure for every problem, but it might help you. So what I did is I laid down the color first on the face, and then I went back with a second time and intensified the colors a little bit. Don't worry if it looks too dark. You will see towards the end of the image that it's not dark at all. I used the pencil to draw in some lines here because her dress doesn't give any indication of folds, and so I decided to have these flat folds. I totally don't know what they are called. I can look it up. If I remember, I'll look it up. And now I'm doing some blending from dark to light, and you will see that I take great care to use the brighter color only on the right side of those folds. I'm assuming that the light comes from the top left. So I am blending towards my highlight, so to speak. And you can see that I'm also adding a shadow where her cape overhangs her dress. And I'm only, as you can see, only blending on the right. And I'm doing that to get to my highlight, so to speak. And I'm not going over the very darkest, like that orange color that I put down. I'm not going over that at all because I want that line to be very crisp. If you would go over it with a lighter color, you would fuzzy it out. That's just an effect that you have. And I didn't want to fuzzy it out. So I didn't, even when I come in with my very lightest color, I make sure not to go over that very darkest color so it will not fuzzy out. And you can see I have an amazing effect here with the folds. Now I'm going to repeat the same process and come back in here with the darkest marker and blend towards the lighter colors. And what I do when I come back a second time, I don't go over the dark area entirely again with my lighter color. I'm doing this on the first layer to get a nice blend. On the second layer, I'm only touching the edge of the darker color. And that ensures that I get a really nice smooth blend. As you can see, I was actually surprised how well this turned out. And I decided to have that color again in the headband of the little girl. And the reason why I'm choosing those colors is purple and gold. I spent 1 year in the US. I went to Greenville High School in Greenville, Michigan. Go Jackets! The Yellow Jackets, that was our school mascot. And our school colors were, of course, purple and gold. And since I've been there, that was 99, 98, I have a thing for purple and for yellow. So, of course, I had to color Little Red from Gorjuss purple and gold. Now on her cape, you saw me draw in some pencil. No, I didn't draw in the pencil lines here. But I used a very light marker to draw in like the base of the folds. And now I'm using my second darkest color to draw in these colors. And now I'm doing something different from the previous folds here. I'm adding the lighter colors on both sides of that line, so right and left basically. And I'm extending that line a little further up. You can also see that I'm getting this elongated U shape between each fold. And that just helps to create that nice folded effect. And I'm repeating this with my colors going towards the lightest color again. And the important part here is to make sure that you have enough space for your highlight. That is super important to create that effect that you have nice folds. And you can see here, coming in with my very light color, blending this out, going over the edges and blending until I have this blended out. So now this is the first base color. You could leave it like this. But of course, you know me, I always have to go for contrast. So now I'm bringing in my very darkest color, which is a V09. It's a very, very dark purple. And I'm adding it to the very core of those folds. It's actually, the lines are almost a little bit thicker than I liked, but I knew I could blend them out. So I'm adding just the tiniest bit of the next lightest color, I think that's a V06, on each side of those dark lines, but I'm making sure that it extends only a little bit so I have enough space for the highlight in the middle. But I'm going over that core dark color, deepening it up a little bit here to create a nice blend. And then I'm again working towards my highlight and just extending this, going over the darker parts as well to make sure I can blend them out. And you can see the folds take on shape here, and I was just delighted to see how well this turned out. You can see just almost the lightest color now blending out, and then I'm coming in with the lightest one blending out towards my highlight, which is on her shoulders. And then I am working backwards. And you can see here that if you use a very light color on a darker Copic color, you can kind of lift the color. It's almost like the colorless blender. So I am going over those tiny little highlights here where the folds would be hit by the light, going over them. And you can see how that marker lifts the other colors, how it brightens that up. Not immediately when it's wet, but once it dries, you can see it become much brighter. There you go, you can see the effect happening. And this way you get really, really beautiful folds. It looks so natural. I was delighted to see how well it turned out. Now on her socks here, I did a similar thing. I'm noticing that I'm talking all the time, not playing the music, but I hope you won't mind. I just want to explain everything that I do so you guys feel confident in trying this yourself, because it's not really that hard. All you need to do is work from dark to, like I prefer, go from dark to light, leave enough light for the highlight, leave enough space for the highlight, and then you can create, for example, this effect where it really looks like her legs are nicely rounded and not just flat. Now hair. Hair is difficult. I sometimes can do hair, and when I try to repeat it, I can't, which is just so frustrating. So I'm using my lightest color here to map in the darkest areas where I think it should be darkest. And then this happened. Brrr, my marker pooped on my paper. I like to call it pooping because it's like somebody pooped on your paper, seriously. So I couldn't lift it, but then I thought, you know what, don't worry about it. I can worry a bit about it at the end. I'm not going to throw this out because I put so much effort into coloring it already. This is, by the way, one of the reasons why you sometimes see me use markers where I took off both sides of the caps. You can see here, I also took off the cap from the other side of the marker. And that I do to equalize the pressure inside of the marker, to prevent that pooping on my coloring. Sometimes I don't think of it, and then bad things happen. Yeah, never mind. So I basically, I put down a darker color, and then I'm extending it towards the highlight area with the lighter colors, trying to leave highlights, but it oftentimes doesn't look like I want it to look. So hair is still an area that I personally feel I need to improve. I know that I did improve over the past few years, like it's gotten much better, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm not as good as I want to be. So that's always motivation for me to do some more practicing. And then to make her pop off the this panel, because she is just stamped on the panel, there's no dimension at all. I am using several gray markers. Those are neutral grays. To create an outline. I'm using a darker one, blending towards a lighter one, and I'm going over the darker one with the lighter one to blend it out even more. And then lastly, I'm coming in with my colorless blender, going over the edges and really making it very, very soft. In that stamp set, there are also some leaves, and I stamped them onto this panel as well. And I'm using several green colors to color in that leaf. You could just do like one color or two colors, but I really enjoy adding texture to this. So I'm trying to enhance is it grooves in the leaves, where the veins are, and trying to get a lot of dimension and texture into that leaf. You could say that I'm crazy, spending that much time on this, but to me, actually, the coloring part is the main treat. The reason I'm creating cards from this is because I don't want to put my colorations into some folder, and just, take it out every year and look at it. So that's why I turn all of these colorations into cards, because it's fun. As for a sentiment, I'm using a sentiment from the Pretty Posies stamp set from Casual Fridays. It says, just a note for you, I think, but I just wanted to have the part just a note. So I masked off parts of the sentiment, taking off my masking tape here. Oh yeah, it says a little note. So just stamping this, and it's even straight because Misty. And then I'm adding a strip of pattern paper to my card base. This is from the My Favorite Things Proper Pinstripes. And this is a purple that matches the purple that I used on her cape. Just trimming this off, whatever hangs off to the side. And then I have a strip of white paper that I just colored black to have some more contrast between this white panel and the pattern paper. It's you're not gonna see even the entire width of this black strip, only a tiny little bit of it. You can see that here. And it just adds the right amount of contrast to ensure that, I just like the contrast. And then you can see that's how I covered up that Copic poop on my coloration. Then another leaf here, and I mounted them with foam tape so I could put some sparkling clear sequins by Pretty Pink Pasta, and also some seed beads from I think it's the Razzle Dazzle seed bead set. I've also enhanced the black dots with my Stardust gel pen, just went over it and the black still shines through, but it's just a nice amount of sparkle that I added to the card. And here is the entire card. I'm pretty pleased how this turned out. So I hope you learned something new. I hope you got inspired. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. I'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you so much, and catch you again soon. Bye-bye.